It's 7:47 p.m. on an ordinary Tuesday evening. You're relaxing on the couch, the TV humming in the background, dinner dishes still waiting on the table. Then something strange happens. Your left arm refuses to obey. You stare at it, willing it to rise, but it sits there like it belongs to someone else. You try to call out to your wife. "Ooh!" The sounds stumble out, thick, twisted, wrong. Your mouth feels disconnected, as if the wires that make words possible have suddenly been cut. She turns toward you, and in her eyes you see it, a flash of panic, because she understands, and deep down so do you. Right now, in this terrifying moment, while confusion is tightening around you, an artery inside your brain has sealed shut. No blood, no oxygen. And with every passing minute, every single minute, 1.9 million neurons vanish forever. The clock isn't just ticking, it's screaming. If nothing is done soon, the person you are, your memories, your personality, your abilities, could slip away in the next few hours. And if your heart just jumped in your chest hearing that, it's because you know this scene isn't dramatic fiction. It plays out thousands of times every day across the world. And too often, the ending is tragic. Stroke, also called a cerebrovascular accident, is the second leading cause of death on the planet and the number one cause of long-term disability. But here's the question most people can't answer. Do you actually know what to do when a stroke strikes? Today, I'm going to share something many people have never been taught. We can interrupt a stroke right as it's happening. But that possibility begins with you. Before we go deeper, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. This information might one day save someone you love. And let me know in the comments. Has anyone in your family ever experienced a stroke? And where in the world are you watching from? Type it below. Let's begin with what's unfolding inside the brain. Most people lose precious time and millions of brain cells because no one has ever laid out the truth clearly. There are two main types of stroke you need to remember. Ischemic stroke, 85% of all cases. This is the blockage. A clot drifts into a brain artery and wedges itself like a cork jammed in a bottleneck. Everything beyond that plug is starved of blood and oxygen, and nerve cells begin dying within minutes. Hemorrhagic stroke, 15% of cases, but far more deadly. This is the rupture. A weakened vessel bursts, often an aneurysm, spilling blood inside the brain. The trapped blood becomes toxic and compresses delicate tissue under rising pressure. Different causes, but one brutal rule. Time is brain. Your brain consumes 20% of all the oxygen in your body. When that flow is cut off, neurons can hang on for only about 4 minutes before irreversible damage begins. Now, let's go through the test that can save lives, the one that doctors and paramedics rely on every day. It's called Be Fast. Once you know it, you'll never forget it. B. Balance. Watch for sudden wobbling, clumsiness, or the staggering gait of someone who looks drunk, but they're completely sober. E. Eyes. Sudden blurred vision, double vision, or loss of sight in one eye. F. Face. Ask them to smile. One side may droop or sag, as if gravity suddenly favours one half. A. Arm. Have them lift both arms. If one drifts downward, that's a warning. Speech. Listen for slurred, strange, or completely garbled words, as if their mouth refuses to cooperate. T. Time. This is the most crucial. Call emergency services immediately. In the US, dial 911. In Europe, 112. Everywhere else, get to the nearest hospital without delay. If you notice even a single sign, do not wait. Don't hope it passes. Every second counts. Now, let's explore the two groundbreaking techniques that have transformed stroke care and can literally stop it in the middle of the attack. The first is a race against time. Thrombolysis, the chemical unclogger. Consider my neighbour, Mr. Carson, 57 years old. He's enjoying a quiet evening watching television when suddenly his wife hears a thump. She finds him slumped on the couch, drooling, his face sagging, confusion clouding his eyes. She recognises the symptoms immediately and calls 911. Within minutes, paramedics arrive. At the hospital, a neurologist confirms an ischemic stroke, no bleeding visible on the CT scan. The treatment begins, thrombolysis. Think of it as a drain cleaner for the brain. A drug called alteplase, or RTPA, is injected into the vein. It travels through the bloodstream, finds the clot, and dissolves it. But there's a catch. It only works if administered within 4.5 hours of the first symptoms. After that window, the risk of bleeding outweighs the benefits. 30 minutes later, Mr. Carson's hand moves again. Relief floods the room. His wife cries. The doctor smiles. The clot is gone. The brain is spared. Time, measured in minutes, made all the difference. But what if Mr. Carson had woken up with symptoms? What if no one knew when the stroke began, or the clot was too large for the medicine to dissolve? That's exactly what happened to Mrs. Maria, 71 years old. She lives alone in a small apartment. It's 11:30 at night, and everything seems normal. She goes to bed. Hours later, the alarm rings at 7:15 in the morning. She reaches to turn it off, and her left arm refuses to move. She tries again. Nothing. Her entire left side feels paralyzed. She attempts to cry out, but no sound escapes. Mom, I'm coming right now." Summoning every ounce of strength, she drags herself across the floor to reach the phone. With trembling fingers, she calls her son. 30 minutes later, he arrives and calls 911. The ambulance races to her side. But there's a problem. No one knows when the stroke started. Was it 11:30 p.m., midnight, 5 a.m.? That uncertainty places her outside the 4.5-hour window for thrombolysis. 10 years ago, her story might have ended in a wheelchair, permanent disability or worse. But it's 2025. Medicine has advanced. At the hospital, she receives a CT scan, followed by a CT angiogram to map the blood vessels in her brain. The neuroradiologist studies the images. A large clot, total blockage in the left middle cerebral artery. The team springs into action. She's moved to the interventional suite. Monitors blink, machines hum, an X-ray arch rotates around her head. The room is tense but controlled. Neuroradiologist, anesthesiologist, nurses and techs all ready. Mrs. Maria is awake but lightly sedated. A tiny puncture is made in her femoral artery, in the groin, similar to a heart catheterization, but this journey leads straight to the brain. A microcatheter, thinner than a strand of spaghetti, snakes upward through her arteries. On the screen, the team watches every twist and turn. Aorta, neck arteries, carotid, cerebral arteries. Then they reach the clot. Dark, jelly-like, lethal. Millions of neurons are dying every second. Inside the catheter is a tiny metal mesh, folded and waiting. When it reaches the clot, it expands, wrapping around the blockage like a net. 15 seconds, 30 seconds. Silence fills the room, broken only by the steady beeps of the monitors. Then, slowly, the doctor pulls it out.
Blood rushes back into her brain. Oxygen. Nutrients. Life returns. The doctor looks at her. Mrs. Maria, lift your left arm for me.
At first, nothing. Then, trembling, her arm rises. Tears stream down her cheeks. The nurse weeps. What has just occurred is nothing short of a modern miracle. They literally fished a deadly clot from her brain, stopping a stroke in the middle of its attack. 30 years ago, stories like Mrs. Maria's often ended in helplessness. All we could do was give aspirin, control blood pressure, and hope. 20 years ago, thrombolysis, the chemical unclogger, arrived, offering a chance to reverse an ischemic stroke if treated fast enough. 10 years ago, mechanical thrombectomy, the fishing miracle, extended that window up to 24 hours in selected patients. Medicine transformed from passive observation to active rescue, entering the brain itself to save lives. But here's the truth. None of this works without you. Mrs. Maria's outcome depended entirely on her son recognizing something was wrong and calling 9.1.1. Mr. Carson recovered because his wife didn't hesitate. These advanced treatments start not in the hospital, but in your living room, when you notice a drooping smile, a weak arm, or slurred speech, and choose action over delay. You are the first line of defense, not the doctor, not the hospital. You, your awareness, your courage. That's what saves the brain. So remember this, clearly and permanently. Be fast. Balance, eyes, face, arm, speech, time. Share this knowledge with your family, friends and co-workers. One day, someone you love might depend on you remembering these words. Time is brain. You can be the hero of this story. Subscribe, hit the like button, turn on notifications and stay informed. Stay healthy, stay alert, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.